What's up guys, and welcome to today's video where I would like to share a chess game that I have played today on chess.com. It was a rapid classic 10-minute chess game and it was so good that I just have to share with you. Make sure to like and subscribe because it was absolutely insane and I am really proud of it. I faced an Egyptian rated 2021, and as you can see, if you're watching my videos, you know I have never ever been 2035 before, so it was actually my peak rating at the moment, and I have reached a rating of 2060 today, so I am getting closer and closer to the 2100. Let's not waste any time. I play d4. I play d4 as usual. Going for the queen's gambit, and we get d5 c4, so I do get what I want, and my opponent plays an opening and approach to the queen's gambit, which I actually like facing a lot, and that is the Slav defense. Now against the Slav there are many variations. It's actually, I think, one of the most popular openings in all of chess, which very surprised me. However, I like to play this exchange variation. Now, it's a bit of a weird variation. Like, your friends are not gonna like you if you're gonna play this against them, but you're basically forcing your opponent to take with the pawn. There is a variation also where they can take with the queen. As you can see, it's not good, but it is possible. Obviously, but then you're just gonna have much faster development. I mean, they can go queen a5 though and pin you, and then could go to some potential pins, and like they could go get the bishop over here and so on. But it's definitely better if you're gonna play this to take with the pawn as black, obviously. But you don't have to take. You can also push e3. There are also knight f3, right? Because if they take, then you can probably push e4 as well. But I don't want to go too deep into this because I am not, you know, I don't know the Slav like that. Because most of the time I just take if I don't want to surprise my opponent in a tournament. Which, by the way, I'm gonna be playing a tournament this Saturday, and obviously there's gonna be a recap. Hopefully, if I'm gonna be able to nominate. Okay, let's get into it. So he takes back with the pawn, and I play bishop f4, which is the best move, which I know because, like, right, I mean, in 2000, it would be pretty embarrassing if I wouldn't know what to do on move 4. And my opponent goes knight c6, which I think it's actually slightly better to go knight f6 now, because you protect the pawn, and you can get this bishop out quite, you know, comfortably, because in some variations bishop f5 is a big blunder here. As we can see, knight c6, and I play e3, making sure, okay, you're basically never gonna get this pawn. You're never gonna even be, I don't have to worry about it, and it's just gonna be completely fine. However, I could also play knight c3, but I don't think it really matters as much. And now what I wanted to say is, if after that my opponent would have played something like g6, then there could be that bishop f5 blunder. Let's say then I play knight f3, and now if they play bishop f5, as you can see, it's already plus 1.3 because of queen b3, I believe. Yeah, and this is it, and this is it, and it's just a fork, and I'm straight up winning a pawn, and I'm winning, right? So there are some variations where it really is a blunder. But let's get back into the game. e3, a6, knight c3, and I place e6. And now at this moment he started making a lot of pawn moves, which I thought I could just take advantage of and just basically have a faster development than him. So I go knight f3. Obviously, the move a6 is actually the top computer move, and it stops me from playing bishop b5. Knight c3, e6, and knight f3. And I place h6, which in this moment, I was like, if I just get my bishop out, right, I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces up, while he's gonna have 1, and I could already castle and start quite of a big attack. However, h6 obviously is the idea, the way I cannot go here, but I don't know why. I got a bit too scared here. I was like, he is making a lot of pawn moves. I might as well just make one. And I have played h3, which you might think is a bit of a stupid one since the bishop cannot go here anyways. However, if I wouldn't be careful, and let's say I would have played something like this here, and then I would have castled already, he just gets my bishop. And if I come to e5, he can take it. And he already is the bishop pair. And if you know one thing about me, it is that I love the bishop pair. So I got a bit too scared. And I decided to play h6. He continues. Finally, he develops a knight into the center before the bishops, which is what usually happens, right? And now I was thinking, how is this bishop ever gonna get out? He's probably gonna have to push this. So I was really thinking about playing a4 because that stops you from playing b5. But I was like, that's not overcomplicated this. I'm just gonna play a3. He gets the bishop out, and now I really didn't spend a lot of time on this move. I feel like, yeah, I took it in 12 seconds. Computer says it's the best move. I don't know if it actually, I mean, if the engine is saying it's probably right, but the point is that he just gets out his queen. So don't know if that benefited my position. However, I was like, okay, now I'm gonna get my bishop out. I do get it to e2. And also other variations, I don't actually recommend taking these pieces because the queen gets out, right? But I was also considering like knight e5 because if you take, you just get forked. And if you take with the bishop, I can take, and I'm just having a pretty comfortable position, I feel like. However, the queen takes, bishop e2, and now he actually does go for b5, which again, I was considering a4 here. I was considering a4, but I didn't play it. This move was not played in the game because I was like, okay, he's gonna push b4, and after I come back to a2, he's just gonna push. Okay, I could probably go like bishop b5, and then I could be playing for rook c1 and just putting some pressure, but I really didn't like my knight there. So that is why I didn't choose playing a4, and instead I went for a very classical and typical move that is played in the Queen's Gambit structure, and that is rook c1. Actually should play b4, which to me is a bit insane because I just make my position quite weak, I feel like, and now it's his move, so he can take advantage of that. Even though this pawn structure is symmetrical, I really didn't feel like playing that move. But I play rook c1, bishop b7, and okay, we're 9 minutes into the video. What has actually happened? Like, you might be, first of all, thank you for staying still. However, okay, nothing has happened. We want to see some action. Fair enough, I get you. Bishop d3, with the point, I actually don't know why have I played bishop d3 here. I don't know why yeah, I know, because I was waiting for him to castle, and I think bishop d3 is a much stronger piece over here now, and I'm also preparing e4. So castles, and rook f8, and in this position, I blunder. And I have mentioned this move just now. And even though the engine gives it just an inaccuracy, I will consider it a blunder. I would consider it a huge weakness, and I play the move e4. Now, what does this move do? This move, obviously, is threatening to take, and take. What's so wrong about that? Well, I create this d pawn, which is an isolated queen's pawn, which most of the time is not a good thing to create, right? But my idea was that I can trade the pawn off immediately, and I could get some interest as well, right? So if we get something like takes, and takes, which is exactly what happened in the game, then I was thinking, if my opponent, I was just finding this pin very annoying. So I was like, he might want to get rid of that. So he plays something like knight a5 something. And if we just trade it, then this pawn is not so horrible. And I can comfortably move the queen and the rooks can come in to defend it. Or definitely there is a thing where I could potentially push. But I mean, as you can see now, I didn't just look at my time. Yeah, didn't spend a lot of time on these moves. 10 seconds, 3 seconds, obviously 1 second, and he plays rook a8, which is one of the best moves. And I already regretted my decision, even though it's equal. The computer's even saying that it's very, very, very slightly better for me. It does nothing. Trust me, it's nothing. And I would have to find b4, which, as I said 1 million times, I didn't think that was just a good move. And here I kind of blunder again. So I'm saying this is a perfect game, and I'm playing pretty average right now. Well, I captured the knight, and my idea was that this knight is gonna go here, and I'm just gonna try to create as much pressure as possible. Well, the bishop recaptures, and I go knight e5, which is the best move. But the problem is, what do I do with this pawn? And that is why e4 was a blunder. I mean blunder. It just was not a great move. I'm saying a blunder, but it's not really a blunder. Because if let's say the e pawn would be here, then I'm having a great time, right? But now the knight's not protecting the pawn anymore, and the queen is kind of glued to the pawn, and the rooks can't come really to the rooks really can't come to these files, right? So that was my issue there. But he plays bishop d5, and now I was like, I don't like this, but I gotta strike back, and from this point on, I promise you, it's finally gonna get good. It's finally gonna get good, and you're finally gonna learn something. Queen h5. I'm like, what is there to waste? This is just a threat. This is just a checkmate threat. Let's say he pushes. Oh, it's not actually. I thought it is a checkmate threat. Bam, bam. Oh, he can still step away here. Well, the point is, it's over, right? Yeah, wait a second. The best move is what? Queen takes e8 check, because then I have this fork. Oh, wow. That's some insane tactics as well. But he defends it with rook e7, which I already found it a bit weird, because this queen is glued not only to this rook, but only to this rook, and they are on the same diagonal, which I could really, really easily get advantage of. So I play rook c3, which the engine says it's an inaccuracy. It was suggesting something like rook fe1, basically protecting the knight. But rook c3, my idea was, yeah, let's say you play, let's say you go here, right? For some reason, I don't know. You make a move. Well, already rook g3, and the pawn spins. There is pressure here. I'm threatening this pawn. If you move away, yeah, it's over, right? So it's really dangerous, really dangerous. And if you play something instead of this, you play something like f6. My knight just jumps in, and I'm gonna get the rook there. Let's say you go here. I'm gonna play something like rook e1, create pressure on this pawn. The bishop is gonna be now glued to the pawn, and even though the computer says it's slightly better for black, I didn't hate my position there. However, rook c3, and my opponent now blunders, and I am gonna take advantage of that. Bishop a8, completely going back. The best move now being rook e1. However, I play rook d1, basically trying to protect the pawn, and now the queen obviously can't take it because it just hangs itself. And now it's finally gonna get good. I didn't understand what my opponent was doing here. Well, look at this, yeah. He has made a bishop move back, and now he's going bishop e4. What is going on? And now, pause the video, trying to find the only winning move for white. The only winning move for white, you can pause the video, I'm gonna give you some time. I have found this move in the game, and if you have set queen to h4, then you are correct. It is the only winning move that keeps such a big of an advantage, and it is exactly why I thought rook e7 is not the greatest move. Because now I'm putting pressure even though it doesn't seem like it, and there is threat knight c6. My opponent blunders with bishop h7, and I have 4 minutes on the clock. And as soon as I found this combination, I was completely blown off. And I haven't seen so many moves ahead. I've seen probably, I don't know, what is it, six moves ahead, and I have seen this insane combination, which, I mean, I was super happy. I don't know if you guys find it so crazy as I do, but I was just super happy about it. And it obviously starts with knight c6. Now, you have to put one of the pieces on the c6 square, either this or this. Otherwise, it's not really even winning. So I play knight c6, basically forking those two rooks, right? f6, right? Because if you do something random, then I'm gonna take this, and the queen's guarding it as well, so I could potentially even take like this. But knight c6, and we're starting the combination. f6. Now, pop quiz for you. Which rook is better to take? The d8 rook or the e7 rook? The computer says it's not such a big difference. However, I do believe that it is a huge difference, actually. Now, to help you in that decision, I think you gotta consider which rook is better, this rook or this rook. For me, this rook is most definitely better. This rook is basically almost pinned, and it's just not a good rook. That way, capturing the d8 rook is much better, I believe, because now the queen also has to come back, right? If I would have taken this, then the rook opens up as well, and you can kind of switch, and then you have some pressure on the pawn. So I have captured the d8 rook, the queen takes, and again, I have found the best move in the position, being rook d to c1. And there is obviously, the threat is this, right? The threat is to win the queen. There's a couple ways to stop this. One is king f7, but your queen's just gonna get hit anyways, and I'm just gonna come in there with the second rook, with this pawn being protected, and it's gonna get really bad. You obviously cannot capture the pawn, and your queen is just gonna get haunted. I'm gonna trade pieces, and I am gonna win. Another way to stop this is playing queen d5 straight away, saving the queen. However, first of all, I can play rook c5, hitting the queen anyways, or I could even sneak in the check, make him go here, trade off the rooks, and I just trade off all the pieces. So my opponent chooses the move that I thought was the best. And it is the move that in over here, I have calculated this move out. And the move is rook e8. Right, we are here. He plays rook e8. It is the best move in the position. Now again, I found the best move, and that is queen h5. Okay, what's so good about that? Well, the threat is to take and then go here and win the queen, right? I mean, this, and it's a rook versus a bishop endgame, which is winning, right? So I would actually have a brilliant move here, sacrificing the queen for a rook, which is crazy because my opponent thought, okay, well, I'm just gonna play rook f8. And we're gonna have a decent position. Okay, well, I was like, if I can't sack the queen here, what if I set a bit of a trap there and I play queen c5? Well, what's this move doing? This move is basically saying, I'm gonna go here, right? And we're gonna trade everything. And that's winning. Again, rook versus a bishop endgame. However, that's not the only thing that move does. The second thing that move does, that after you play bishop e4, which is what my opponent did, I can do the same exact thing and I can sacrifice the queen on a fate. As you can see, I spent almost a minute because I was like, there is no way that's working. Because I could have just gone here. But if I would have played that now, yeah, you can see it's an inaccuracy because then, like, you can probably just protect the pawn and then my queen is hanging. So I could take the pawn, but the queen stay on the board, and with this time on the clock that I have right now, I was not comfortable playing that. So I actually sacked the queen. There is no way to stop anything. If this, I go here, obviously, I just trade it. And if the king takes, it's the same exact thing. Right. It's just winning. It's just winning. So I sack the queen. He takes with the king. I play rook c8, obviously only move. Queen takes c8. And now this is a winning endgame. And right, I got what I wanted. So for some of you, I don't want to say anything crazy, but this still might be a tough endgame to win, which is completely fine. Now, how do I win this? First thing first, if you're in a rook versus a bishop endgame, put every single pawn on a different card than the bishop is, because the bishop is not going to be able to capture anything then, and you're going to have an easy time. You could even sack the rook for the bishop there in the future. So I give a check first of all, and basically you attack pawns until your opponent can't do anything. Now I'm actually breaking the principle that I've just said, that I've got 1, 2, 3 pawns on the late squares, but I just really wanted to get rid of this bishop. That way I could potentially go here. Bishop d3, and I play rook c6, hitting both of those pawns, and he plays king f5. He's like, alright, I'm just gonna be so active with the king that I'm gonna be able to get something, and I play rook takes a6, because I figured that if you would have pushed here, now I have this check since the king is so pushed, right? Bishop c4, and I play rook a7, and here I was kind of hoping for him to play the move that he has played, and that is g6, because suddenly the king's cut off. The king can't come back. So if I'm able to kind of come here and like get the file for myself, something like this would already be a mate, right? If the pawn wouldn't be on here. So that's a bit crazy. So I play bring up the king, h5, king e3, h4, which is a very good move, by the way. Completely gluing my pawns, because if I would play something like this, you can take up a sound, right? So that's a really good move there. He just played h4. I play a4, basically trying to trade. And now, it's what we were talking about. The king is completely done. However, if I would have gone check right now, the bishop can block. So that is why I captured, and that is also why I didn't understand the move bishop f1. Keep in mind, I have 52 seconds on the clock. I give a check, and now he has no move. He has to block. Right? Or you can play bishop b5 and throw the game completely, but this is basically the only move in the position. I obviously trade, and I go here. And I completely miss the fact that, where was this? Where it sacked this bishop with the move f3. All of my pawns were on light squares, and right here, my opponent has punished me for that. And and after f4, he can just kind of start eating my pawns, right? I take this with check, and I play rook g5 again. No, I'm not kidding, by the way. I completely miss the fact that you can just take the pawn. And here I got really terrified because I'm like, if he trades all of the pawns on the board, then it's a draw. Then it's a draw. Because, yeah, a rook versus a bishop with no pawns, that is a draw. Most of the time, I don't know what would have to happen for me to be a win. So, that is just statistically a draw. So I got a bit scared, and after 6 seconds, I'm like, what do I have left? Let me just push the pass pawn. It's what's supposed to be done. Bishop f5, and I'll play rook g2. That way, after push, I can kind of get to the pawn. He plays king e6, and now you might be understanding where am I going with all of this. Because after a couple of moves, as I said in these endgames, you can sacrifice the bishop. You can sacrifice the rook for a bishop. And that is what I do. Rook takes h3 with a second brilliant move, because the king is just way too slow, and he's just way too busy. He's just way too busy handling this pawn. And before he's able to do all of this work with this pawn, he's gonna just have another shift here, and he's gonna have to deal with this pawn, and then it's just too much things, and he just can't handle all of that. So he calls his manager, and it's done. He has to take. Bam. Over 57 moves, and with 21 seconds on the clock, my opponent resigns on move 57. And I was really proud of that game. I gotta tell you guys, like, this was really good to have. Like, brilliant move number 2, brilliant move number 1. Also, I mean, seeing it obviously through the screen might not seem that it is that impressive, but I've seen it from this move, which I've actually calculated it all. It's insane, and I was really proud of this. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully you learned something as well, because I just needed to have it here. I just needed to have it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to stay tuned, because I'm gonna have an upcoming tournament, so I'm definitely gonna do a recap about that. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and I'll see you the day after tomorrow with the recap of that tournament. Peace.